Today, I want to talk about a date that may not have appeared in many newspapers, but which could become very important for thousands of stateless people living in Europe. That date is June 12th, 2026. On that day, the European Union's new Pact on Migration and Asylum officially began to apply. For most people, this reform is associated with migration control, border procedures, asylum applications, and returns. But hidden inside this enormous package of legislation is something that caught my attention. For the first time, European law requires authorities to identify and record indications of statelessness. At first glance, that may sound like a small administrative detail. I do not believe it is. I believe it represents a significant shift in the way Europe understands one of the most overlooked legal problems of our time. What does it mean to be stateless? A stateless person is someone who is not considered a citizen by any country under the operation of its laws. In practical terms, this means living without the protection that citizenship normally provides. Without nationality, many people face difficulties obtaining passports, traveling, accessing services, proving their identity, or even building a stable future. For decades, statelessness has often remained invisible inside European legal systems. Many people were simply classified as having an unknown nationality. Others became trapped between immigration law, asylum law, and nationality law. Everyone could see the consequences. Very few institutions were willing to address the cause. The new pact changes something important. Authorities are now expected to actively identify possible cases of statelessness during screening and asylum procedures. This means that statelessness is no longer supposed to be ignored. It is no longer supposed to disappear inside bureaucratic categories. Europe is effectively saying, if there are signs that a person may be stateless, we must recognize those signs. That is progress, and Europe deserves credit for that. However, we should not confuse identifying a problem with solving it. This is where I believe the real discussion begins. The new rules help authorities recognize statelessness, but they do not automatically provide a solution. Many European countries still do not have effective procedures for determining statelessness. Many still lack clear pathways that transform recognition into citizenship. As a result, a person may now be identified as stateless and still remain trapped in legal uncertainty. This is especially important in cross-border situations. A person may enter Europe through one country, move to another country, and find themselves caught between different legal systems. Germany may say one thing, Greece may say another. A third country may refuse responsibility altogether. The individual remains the same. The legal answers change depending on where they stand. That is one of the reasons why statelessness remains such a difficult problem. Nationality cannot simply be transferred from one administration to another. Someone must ultimately accept responsibility. For me, this debate is not only academic. Many of you know that I have spent years researching questions of nationality, identity, family law, and statelessness. I have seen how complicated these cases can become. I have seen how many institutions genuinely want to help but find themselves constrained by legal structures that were never designed for exceptional situations. That is why I often argue that Europe needs not only better migration procedures, it also needs better mechanisms for resolving exceptional cases. Recognition is the first step, resolution is the second. The reports published during the last week reveal an interesting reality. Europe is becoming better at recognizing statelessness. The United Nations estimates that approximately 4.5 million stateless people exist worldwide. The problem is not disappearing. If anything, it remains one of the least visible human rights challenges of our era. At the same time, Europe is investing significant effort into border procedures, migration management, and return systems. Those issues matter, but they are not enough. A stateless person does not stop being stateless because their case was registered in a database. A stateless person stops being stateless when they finally obtain a nationality. So how should we view June 12th, 2026? In my opinion, neither as a victory nor as a failure. It is a beginning. Europe has finally recognized that statelessness must be identified. Now Europe must demonstrate that it can also provide solutions. The true measure of success will not be the number of people recorded as stateless. It will be the number of people who are no longer stateless in the future. Thank you for watching. If you are interested in comparative law, citizenship issues, family law, and the future development of European legal systems, consider subscribing to the channel. My name is Evangelos Trimis, and I will continue following these developments closely. See you in the next video.